It's time now to review headlines of today's newspapers. And of course, we're going to be starting with, like Mr. Emmanuel Ifeni would say, Nigeria's newspaper of records. This Day newspaper right there on the cover of This Day, starting from the top story right above the banner. All eyes on CBN as it schedules MPC meetings without a quorum of committee. The first meeting is set to hold on February 26th. And of course, I think after initial postponements, the Central Bank of Nigeria has tentatively fixed this, its first monetary policy committee meeting since the appointment of the CBN governor, Olayemi Kodoso. So this is one that a lot of Nigerians are looking to. There's so many issues, of course, that need to be discussed. The floating of the naira, the inflation, just so much to do with the economy, and of course that will be holding on February 26th.
I mean, it is an absolute shame that we have not had an MPC meeting since July. It's been 6 months, and very importantly, This Day is pointing out that the meeting would be without quorum. And this, what is required from this meeting is set out in the CBN Act, and it would be a shame that Mr. Yemi Kadoso's his debut MPC meeting will not be constituted properly in accordance with the CBN Act. So.
All right, then if we move on very quickly to the story just over the banner, Archbishop Adewale Martins, killings, insecurity escalating in Nigeria because perpetrators are not punished. And just to back off that, the major story on the head, on the front page of This Day, insecurity festers in FCT. Gunshots as 3 are abducted at estates despite special intervention squad. The halt is deadly coordinated attacks, Nadeko tells Tinubu. Security experts query absence of tracking technology, level of superior firepower. I mean, I was just talking about this when we're doing the week that was, how we are not leveraging on the technological advancements that exist in modern day society to be able to beat these kidnappers or even supersede them in the games that they play.
Yes, Nigeria's security apparatus, our NINs, our BVNs, all the requirements, it seems that they're being underutilized when it comes to securing the people, especially the people of the FCT, which we have spoken about, as you said earlier today. So hope to see something change, both from the president and his FCT minister. All
right, then if we just go further down and look at that story, Kwankwaso, Kano government to revisit the issue of 5 Emirate councils, says they were created with bad intentions, declares the NNPP open to merger with interested political parties, and the residents are calling for Sanusi's return. Just under there, you can see the picture of the day from the left to the right, Minister of Environment, Minister of State, Police Affairs, Minister of Solid Minerals Development, securing Nigeria's natural resources on their minds.
You know, I would love to talk about the Kwankwaso and Kano stories. Congratulations to the NNPP and the people of Kano State, obviously, with the Supreme Court upholding the elections. But I will also say that this issue of the 5 Emirates was created by Ganduje when he sacked SLS, when he shared the Kano Emirate. From 1 Emirate, he divided it into 5. You know, I find it abhorrent when we don't respect our historical institutions. And I honestly, you can always draw this back to the British when they came, because there's really, I think it's a very bizarre thing that we have here where our royal houses are under our state government, and our state government can create new, it's unbelievable to me that a governor can come and change a century-old institution because he has beef with the emir.
Well, I mean, when Kwankwaso was addressing journalists, I think that was on Thursday night, he did say, honestly, it was nobody had sat with him to discuss it so far, but that he was going to, it was going to be allowed to be restructured, and it will be revisited. He did say whatever is supposed to be done will be done. There's more of that story continued on page 5. If you can just quickly do one more newspaper before we end the morning show today, Adesua.
Yes, so we have the Saturday Telegraph. The bigger story there is that the Supreme Court affirms Abiodun Sule 4 others as protest rocks Nasarawa. It's on pages 2 and 3. The PDP, judgment for Oborowi, victory for democracy. Government dedicates win to Deltans. Go and prepare for 2027. Ogun government mocks Adebutu. Ruling shows Sani popularity, says Abbas. And police arrest 38 protesters in Nasarawa. Now, as we know, Ogun State and Nasarawa State particularly, also Kaduna State a bit, there was a very tight contest for the gubernatorial elections. Dakwa Abiodun has his second term has now been affirmed by the Supreme Court, so I know that Adebutu and the people of the PDP would be very upset in Ogun State and licking their wounds. The protests in Nasarawa, obviously Nasarawa, the elections were very, very hotly contested there. I think some people were very surprised that the Supreme Court upheld the APC's election in Nasarawa State. Under that, it says, we have 2 stories under that we've spoken about today. One is kidnapping. Wike approves 2 police divisions for Gwagwalada Area Council. That story is on page 5. And we spoke about, earlier, the kidnappings in the FCT.
When you juxtapose that to what we're seeing on the cover of this day that says, despite the intervention of the SIS squad, that was, of course, put out there by Mr. Wetokun, who had said that this particular squad was going to go into these different parts that are dealing with insecurity and try their best to flush it out. But despite that, we're seeing now these bandits or these kidnappers are now making their ways into estates. Like you said, they're not just picking people up from the road anymore. It seems like coordinated, targeted attacks with proper information. So the Special Intervention Squad definitely needs to step up their game, doesn't it?
It definitely does. But, I would like to commend that they're picking up informants, according to the minister, Nyesom Wike. And I would like to commend that they have a special intervention squad. Maybe they need to up their training, maybe they need to up their equipment, maybe they need to up their funding. There's so much to be done here. We look forward to more appropriate and effective intervention by our FCT minister and our president. So another story we have here, we have the same Kwankwaso story here. Kano Emirates creation will be revisited. We have the big story, Ibadan explosion survivors recount harrowing experiences. Miners quickly evacuated building without alerting neighbors. And my son jumped from burning story building. The story is on page 3. As we said, this is a very horrible thing, apart from, the deaths and the accident and the injuries. We also have people who have lived through a very traumatizing event. And I hope the best for them, and I hope our government takes care of its people.
Definitely.